Ki me too. Tuia te kaupapa te rā, ki te manaake, ki te mahake, ki te maia, ki te tūhono me te āwhina o te whānau katoa. Ai o. Tēnā koutou katoa, nau mai haere mai ki tēnei pāhotanga mata ora, pukamata, ko Rose Haskell ahau. He kaururu rātou ngā hāpōreo mō o whānau āwhina Plunkett. E mahi ana au kei roto I te rohe o Taranaki. Ko wai tērā, ko tōku hoa mahi tērā, he kaiāwhina ia. Kei roto I te rohe o Taranaki hoki, ko Haley tana ingoa. Kia ora e hoa, ko wai koe.
Kia ora e hoa, ko Haley tōku ingoa. He uri ahau no te awa wanganui, me tūwhare toa. Engari kei noho ana hau ki tikorangi I tēnei wā I raro I te maru o Taranaki maunga.
Ka pai e hoa, ngā mahi ki a koe mo te tautoko I tēnei pō, koia kei a koe. Hea ha te kaupapa mo tēnei pō, e hara Te Wiki o Te Reo Māori, 2023, me te tuku Reo Māori, me te reo kei roto I te whare, kei wainganui I a koutou, kei roto I tō whānau. Kei hia mai, ka hurio ki te reo Pākehā, nō reira, kei te timatanga tātou. Welcome everybody, my name is Rose Haskell and I'm a Community Services Coordinator for Whānau Āwhina Plunkett. I work in the Taranaki region. I welcome Haley this evening. Haley is a kaiāwhina here in Taranaki also. And we are actually whanaunga because we both whakapapa to the awa, Te Ati Haunui a Paparangi on the Whanganui River. So what are we talking about tonight? We're talking about Māori Language Week. We're talking about the Māori language moment that took place today, 14th of September. And we're talking about Māori language in your home, between you all and within your whānau. So some good basic phrases and games to play to strengthen your knowledge of kupu Māori, Māori words and resources that can tautoko, support you as you navigate your reo journeys. Me and Haley were just having a laugh before because I overcomplicated our script. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and keep it as basic as possible, even though I just spoke and went handy with context and dialect. So we're going to keep this super conversational and as simple to follow as possible. E hoa. Our whānau at Best Start have given us some pukapuka, some books to give away. So to be in the draw, leave a question in the comments during the chat. So you can enter just, one comment is one entry. And even if we don't get to your question tonight, you're still in the draw to enter. And then we will announce the winners at the end of our live. The books we have to give, once again, thanks to our whānau at Best Start, are My First Words About Tikanga, Tikanga Māori by Stacey Morrison, My First Words in Māori by Stacey Morrison, and the Kui and Friends Māori Picture Dictionary. All right, are you ready for our pātai? Are you ready for your official interview, my friend?
Yeah, fire away.
This is your very, very first live, so hopefully it's not too much of a baptism of fire for you, but I'm sure you'll be all right. I just have to change a couple of things around. All right, hea ha tēnei rā I motu hake ai. Why is this day so special? So a little bit of history for everybody. Today, the 14th of September is the 51st anniversary of a petition that was presented to Parliament to teach te reo in schools. This petition was spearheaded by Ngā Tamatua, Vic Uni's Reo Māori Society and the New Zealand Māori Students Association. And it was a massive influence in the revitalisation of te reo Māori in Aotearoa. 3 years later, 1975, the first ever Māori Language Week was born. Wiki o Te Reo Māori is celebrated with, the 14th of September being a main part of the week. Nō reira, hea ha o whakaro o tēnei kaupapa. What are your thoughts on this topic, e hoa?
He tika tērā e hoa. That's right, my friend. I think for me, when we're thinking about Te Wiki o Te Reo Māori, it's really important that we reflect back on our tūpuna and the journey that they had. with their experience, with the reo, and the reasons why we have to have Te Wiki o Te Reo Māori is also a very important one. As you mentioned, the revitalisation of our language has been massive and necessary in order for us to be able to even be here today and have this conversation. So I think that's an important place to start. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I love how the revitalisation has come in the form of Te Reo Māori becoming an official language of Aotearoa in 1987, and that we have an awareness week such as this. But even in the media, we've been seeing phrases like e whai ake nei in the 6 o'clock news, and our wonderful weather reports translating the weather events and the place names, which is we're just coming such a long way in our bicultural journey and in our reo journey as a nation. I'm so proud of how we're normalising Te Reo Māori in our country, and it's a wonderful step towards strengthening a bicultural Aotearoa. And I have a friend who has been in Australia for many years and came back to Aotearoa after 3 years away and noticed how prevalent Te Reo Māori was on the TV, and that was really nice to know that was the observation from someone who doesn't live here anymore, that it's such a noticeable change because it's just getting more and more normalized in our communities. So yeah, ka pai koe. Let's talk about starting points. If our whānau want to start speaking, the basics of Māori, what sort of starting points do you think are necessary for whānau?
I mean, pronunciation is key, I think. If ever we're going to do something, we want to kind of start with the building blocks there, particularly around language. It's important to get our pronunciation correct. And as you were saying, with regards to normalizing the language, that kind of goes a long way too with making that aspect of it really easy to access for whānau. In regards to Māori language in general, very different to English in the sense that we have 15 letters, 8 consonants, 2 digraphs, and our vowels are the same. The sounds are obviously very different. We have A, E, I, O, U becomes A, E, I, O, U, and you put a portai on there, and that sound can then become... it can become elongated as well. So, those sounds do change. Some that trip people up a little bit too are the ng, f sounds when we have the ng together in the WH. What are your thoughts on that?
Just in terms of, making this family friendly, waiata mai ihoa.
With regards to those sounds, hey?
Yeah, we've got this wonderful song that you can find it, on YouTube. You will find it on Spotify or any media, and it's a really good starting point with pronouncing our consonants, our vowels, and our digraphs. And do you want to sing it with me?
Yeah, of course I do. Let's go.
Do you want to be the kaiwaiata, or should I be, and then you can be my which one do you want to do?
You be the kaiwaiata, I'll support.
Okay. Toru wha ahakama.
Ahakama na pana tawanga wha.
Ihekeme.
Ihekeme ne pene te wenge whe.
Ihekeme
ne pene te wenge whe.
Ohokomo
no pono tō wongo who.
A e I o u. Uhukumunu puru tu.
Oh, where was the harmony going?
That was almost in sync, but almost not, and might have looked so awkward. But if anyone knows, Haley and I, we actually work together, and we're always this awkward. So that I'm really proud of you, Haley. Thank you so much for your beautiful waiata this evening. All right. If we move on to some really simple phrases that whānau can use every day with their tamariki, what would you suggest as some starting points for our whānau tonight?
I would think start really simple. Start really, really simple, even just with kupu. singular, and use whatever it is that you have. So, kupu, the words are the building blocks to making, sentences. So, if you're waking up in the morning greeting your tamariki, tamaiti, you can say morena instead of good morning, morena. When you're putting them to bed at night, you might say pō mārie, and in place of good night, you might say e noho. If you're asking them to sit, you might say e tu if you're asking them to stand. I think really simple things like that are really key, especially for young ones. And then something that we've done in our whare is we actually incorporate karakia daily into, as part of our daily ritual, karakia for kai if we're going to travel, and it's the repetition that really helps to build language. And so I have one to share here, actually, if that's okay.
Kapai.
All right, so karakia for kai, this one, nau mai rā, e ngā hua, hei oranga tinana, hei oranga wairua, mene. So this just acknowledges that kai will provide our bodies and our minds with sustenance. And I think that's a really super simple one to do before kai for children, for tamariki, for the whānau, and just to familiarise ourselves with Māori language.
Yeah, absolutely awesome. And you're right about karakia. The more you say it, the more you memorize it, and the more you memorize it as well, the better it helps with pronunciation. And then you get to know the words, and then you get to see, the way the sentences are structured as well. And then, you get a little bit more insights into it. And then, people, delve a little bit further to find out who composed these and why and where they come from, the whakapapa of the karakia as well. So it's all so interesting. And it's also really, I always find that karakia is very holistic and very spiritually sustaining as well. So, kairo tui taku whare. My daughters and I will stand by the window that I can see right in front of me here, and we'll karakia i te ata, and then karakia before bedtime. And our favorite karakia was composed by Scotty Morrison. It's Ai o ana te rangi, ai o ana te rangi, ai o ana te whenua, ai o ana te ao katoa, ai o ana te moe a te whānau, i roto i te mai, te matihire, me te Māori ori e. Kia au te moe. And it's something, it provides that routine, and it provides that comfort for my tamariki as they head off to sleep for the night. So, you're totally right about karakia.
What a beautiful part of a day for you, though. That is.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And starting and ending your day with karakia. Beautiful.
Yeah, I agree.
I wanted to, we just talked about some really simple phrases, e noho, morena, o marie, even haere mai, come here.
Haere mai.
It's also really helpful for whānau to get to know the body parts, colours, the days of the week. And eventually get to know the months of the year as well. So I've read of a game in a book, and how I'm going to talk about those legends, Scotty and Stacey Morrison, and they wrote in this book as part of their introduction, the kehia tō or kehia o, so kehia meaning where, and then if it's kehia o, you're talking about something in plural, so kehia o karu, where are your eyes, or kehia tō ihu. I was going to say kehia tō taringa, kehia tō ihu, where is your nose? And even playing games with your tamariki, starting sentences with kehia tō upoko or kehia tō mahunga, and then your tamaiti can point to their head, and just getting to know the different body parts, your legs, your tummy, your shoulders, your hips, and then using the language to play a game to get your child used to the different body parts as they point to them. Learning those, translations from Te Reo Māori to Te Reo Pākehā is also a really helpful way to engage with your child. and also just strengthen Te Reo Māori in your own home. So that's something that I encourage you all to do, is just get to know body parts in Te Reo Māori and start playing the where are your eyes, that game as well. Singing songs, we've got colours. Ma is white, whiro is red, kakariki green.
Yeah.
So, those singing, waiata that's also a really wonderful way to learn colours as well. So there are so many different ways that you can learn kupu words or learn waiata songs in really fun and really simple, easy and engaging ways. We've got a pātai on Facebook, and our pātai is, does kaiāwhina have champions of the reo in your organisation and nurses, and what tautoko is available to them? So, Haley, if you are happy to answer this question, all good. If you want me to answer it, that's also fine.
I can definitely answer from the perspective of the kaiāwhina role, which is what I do. I work in the kaiāwhina, the health education, health promotion space. And mine is a privileged position, and I would say very specifically because I get to we get to incorporate a Te Ao Māori lens to our practice. So we use, things like te whare tapawha, tupuna parenting, and obviously as much reo as we have under our belt at that particular point in time. So I'd say, from my own personal perspective, kaiāwhina have been real champions or major in championing that part of my journey, in helping to not only just normalize it for me as an individual, but to make it a safe space for me to be able to present that in my contact with whānau out in the community. And I think it's really important too, because our knowledge levels, understanding differs. It varies from whānau to whānau, and being able to be in a space where we can kind of move with whatever that looks like is really key. Did you want to answer specifically to the nurses, or?
No, I just wanted to talk about how in our organisation we've got an entire team, the Ringaropa team, who we can consult on every aspect of Te Ao Māori, tikanga Māori, reo Māori, and they are our champions. And a lot of their job, almost all of it actually, is to incorporate Te Ao Māori into everything that we do. And I know, personally speaking, I've enjoyed every Thursday. The Ringaropa team puts a wānanga on every Thursday morning, and they wānanga on a subject or a theme, and then our workmates, our kaimahi, can come in, ask questions, share their experience, their live experience to each topic from their mahi. And my personal favorite thing that we do here, just once answering this question here, is we've got a gentleman in Plunkett, he's Matua John, and he creates the best kahoots ever. So, we're learning and we're playing games at the same time. And so that's the tautoko that's available to us in the organisation, for nurses, for community services, even our IT team. They're really onto it with their kupu as well, and they've done some presentations in the past as well. So that's a little bit about the champions of the reo in our organisation. So thank you so much for your pātai, and how in the clinical space, our kaiāwhina are champions of the organisation for our whānau Māori. Another question here. Oh, thank you for your questions. I would love to read Te Reo books to my son, but my Māori is basic and I find myself unsure of pronunciation of many of the words. Are there audio books? So, hea hao whakaro e hoa.
Audiobook specifically, I think there's a lot of resources available on YouTube with regards to actual pronunciation of words. I think that's really important, though, because that has emphasized that whole point that we made in the beginning about pronunciation being key in that journey. And it can be something that kind of holds, people back from wanting to. So, I mean, that's an awesome question and a great place to start. Some key things. Do you have key ways to break sounds down that might make it a little bit easier for whānau if they wanted to, just in regard to that particular question?
Why, yes, I do, my friend.
Good, so do I.
Oh, you first.
I was just going to say, even if it's very basic and simple, one thing that we've found really helpful in our whare is to break down any kupu Māori into syllables after every vowel. And then sounding there. But that's easier said than done if you're not quite at the point where you've got those basic sounds down. But for instance, if we were to use one of the words that we have here, tautoko, for example, ta, u, to, ko, that's a key way to do that. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And also, once our whānau internalize the pronunciation of the vowels a, e, I, or u, looking at the letters and associating with the sounds of the vowels is a really good start to making the pronunciation just not easier, but a little bit. You get used to the pronunciation when you practice the vowels and then you see the letters written out on paper. And I know, a massive one for me and with whānau that I work with is likening different sounds, different kupu Māori sounds to English words that they're accustomed to. So, I'm going to use the word Māori as the perfect example. And, a few people are still just in the process of getting that hard R sound, the rolling of the Ari, Māori. So it's still, Maori. And so, for me, I like to say to whānau, you can say Māori is a Māori cheese, and therefore that's just the same sort of concept, Māori cheese, because you can do the hard R sound. You're just not used to seeing it as an R. You're used to seeing it as a D.
As a D.
So yeah, it's just really, really practicing each sound. And honestly, that awkward song that we sang, you were amazing. It wasn't like awkward, but it was like us just singing and being cool as Hakamana para tawanga wha. And getting used to that song is a really good way of getting those sounds a little bit more refined. In terms of audiobooks, this isn't an audiobook, Ihua, and it's something that I was going to talk about later on per a question that came through via Messenger, was via Sharon Holt. Now, anyone in the preschool, daycare, kindy world knows these books very well, and these are Te Reo sing-along books. So we've got the lyrics in here, and then at the back, usually there's a CD, so you can play the CD and you can sing along using the kupu in the books. So that's another really cool resource in terms of assisting with pronunciation. Once again, learning a waiata and learning kupu Māori. And we also have, as part of our YouTube channel, the Loopy Tunes, and they are, we've actually got not just Te Reo Māori, we've got, our Pacifica languages as well. So if you just jump onto YouTube and search up Loopy Tunes, you will find a whole heap of waiata in all of the different Pacific languages by our wonderful wahine who sing for that part of our channel. Shall we have another question?
Yeah, let's go.
Questions. Yes. From what age should we start including Te Reo in our communications? And is there a list of songs we can access so we can remember which ones to look up on YouTube?
Okay. I think that I would start as soon as baby's born. That would be my recommendation. I mean, I think it's widely understood that when we have access to, or we have multiple languages spoken, with bilingual in our homes, it just does all sorts of goodness for the baby's brains, for development. So, I think starting as early as you can. Are we going to put the list of the songs in so that everybody can see them, or because we did just refer to them on YouTube?
Yeah, what we'll do is we will, they've been put up, and the link has already been put up. So all good, my friend, all good. Yes. So yeah, songs, we've got the beautiful loopy tunes. And honestly, so here in Taranaki, I run a music and dance group, and that's a bilingual music and dance. And even just searching up Spotify, Te Reo Māori songs for kids, will bring up some really cool songs for you to get up and running with your babies. Cool. Is it beneficial to find a daycare that's bilingual in Te Reo and English to help reinforce what Pepe is learning at home?
Absolutely. And I think the majority are very much embracing of not just Māori language, but a lot of different languages from a lot of different cultures, particularly our Pacific cultures. But that's definitely something you could put on the wish list when you're going around looking at different daycares. You can ask those questions. And then there's kohanga reo specifically too, if you wanted to go that route, which is also a wonderful option for those that want to have that reinforced really well at childcare and at home. I think I think we're doing, like you said, we're normalizing the language, and so it's visible in most spaces now. And that's what is kind of why we're here and celebrating it. Is visible most spaces that we go out into our communities. It's a case of asking, though. You have to ask. Sometimes, we're using kupu Māori at home. Can that be reinforced here? If our babies have Māori names too, is letting the kaiāwhina know how to pronounce the names properly, things like that. So I definitely think that it is beneficial to find daycare that are open,
absolutely,
and supportive of that journey if that's what your whānau is doing.
Absolutely. And that's what I have found with, especially working in the community, the daycares have a very strong bilingual focus now. And, not only am I greeted 100% of the time with kia ora, you can hear the kaiako using kupu Māori just in everyday sentences. So it's always beneficial to just find those extra opportunities to bring a little bit of bilingualism into your life. And almost by default, I think the curriculum is weaved a lot more with Te Reo Māori. Is the curriculum, is Te Reo a part of the curriculum for early childhood providers, or should that be asked at the kindy? Awesome question. Yeah. Do you want to speak to this, or how do you want to go?
You can speak to that, I think, in particular the curriculum question.
Yeah. So Te Reo is a part of the curriculum, and I think the question to ask really is, how do you incorporate it? What sort of conversations do you have? What sort of resources do you have? How do you structure introducing some bilingual time into my child's day, into the day of the tamariki? But just in terms of the revitalization of Te Reo Māori in the community, it's definitely a huge priority for our educators. So it's just going to be a matter of just checking in what resources they have and where and how they incorporate Te Reo Māori into the child's day. All right. Matilda, age 4, is here with me. She wanted to say she can count in Te Reo Māori. Toke, Matilda. Oh, we wish we could bring you on, my friend, so you can count for us. Kate, can you let us know, can Matilda count to 10 to 20? You know, where's she at with her counting journey? Thank you so much for the feedback. And while we're waiting for Kate to send us a message, let us know how Matilda is counting up to. We will talk about, hey, shall we get real technical? You know how I said right at the beginning of the live that I was going to try and not be so technical? Let's just get a little bit technical because I'm looking at the paragraphs of so much information, but you know, something very valuable as well is the impact of dialect in our reo. So yeah, mita. So I know that, you know, when our kupu was being translated in different parts of Aotearoa, it all just got written in different ways. So I know that different areas and iwi pronounce sounds differently, and it's just something for our whānau to remember. So depending on where they are, they might hear a word or they might hear a concept differently, no matter where they are. So let's talk a little bit more about the power of dialect and kupu in Te Reo Māori.
Yeah, okay, let's do that. I think probably a key place to start, because we're in the West Coast, or on the West Coast of the North Island, is with the meta here, which is very different. And I think it becomes it's as much colloquial as it is, you know, a part of the actual structure of the language. So even our non-Māori whānau out there kind of take on board, as you were saying, those things. So I think we can, one of the key ones that I can think of is the glottal stop over the H when we have to get really technical, over the H when we have the WH sound together. So the F then becomes a H, which is, I think, for us too, because of our connection, Aotearoa heading into the Wanganui River is also the same dialect. Is really important, though, that we kind of bring up the point about that the H doesn't disappear from the spelling when we're thinking about those things, that it's really important that we leave it as it is. Just because it sounds a little bit different, it doesn't change the way that it's supposed to be written down or the way that we think of it. So there are lots of others too, and some of them get way more technical than that, in my opinion.
100 emoji. So depending on where you are, you'll hear all different sounds for different words. Even down to Waiponamu. There's no ng. So ngaitahu, we would say ngaitahu, and as you just said, ihua, down there it's kaitahu. So the ng is a k instead. So all just so many different ways to say things. Northland, they drop the H, so whakarongo becomes wakarongo. Yeah,
it's all. I think it's so beautiful.
That's the West Coast. You just said that, my friend. Sorry.
They drop the W.
They drop the
W. The W. Hey, so it becomes a hakarongo.
Yeah, I wrote the script too.
And I think the cool thing about it, though, is that when we're listening to the languages and you're going kind of into the different regions or into the different rohe and you're listening to it, you can pick it out. And it's very distinct if you're used to listening to the language, but it can be super confusing if you're not. So I would encourage whānau out there, if you are on a journey to incorporating Te Reo Māori into your daily life, into your daily practice, try and learn the local dialect if you're able to get in touch with that. If they're doing it at your kindy, if you have contact with kohanga reo, if you go to your marae, if you're involved in kapahaka, just listen and learn, ask questions, don't be shy.
Nice. And I'm just going to switch back from our kōrero back to the pātai. And Kate, thank you so much for letting us know Matilda can count to 10. And Kate says, my highlight was when she was quietly counting how many laps of the bike park she had done herself using Te Reo Māori. Tauke, my little friend. Awesome work.
That's so cool.
All right. Now, just a wee reminder to you all, get your questions in, and every question puts the question asker into the drawer to win some pukapuka that our whānau at Best Start have given to us. Once again, the books that we have to give away are My First Words About Tikanga Māori by Stacey Morrison, My First Words in Māori by Stacey Morrison, and the Kui and Friends Māori Picture Dictionary. So keep those questions coming in. All right, lots and lots of questions around resources, which brings me to my next pātai ehua. What are some good places for whānau to start in introducing Te Reo Māori into their homes? And what are some rad resources, whether they're singing or podcasts, or what have you got under your belt, my friend?
Well, we mentioned some of them earlier, so definitely look at those that are available to you there. So check out those links, make sure you follow those, have a good look, because some of those are really awesome. Everyday Podcast by Hemi Kelly.
Man.
Yeah, you like those?
Yeah, that's where I got my
Yeah, there's some TPK, Te Puni Kōkiri resources, Kei Roti Te Whare. We have the link available as well, do we?
Yes, so we'll get the link out for everyone so that they can download a copy, print out a PDF.
Yeah, that's some of the resources that I've got.
And even the Māori dictionary is, it's such a lovely resource in terms of learning new kupu. If you hear a kupu, then you can type that into the Māori dictionary, and that will give you, a bit of an explanation of the word, and also use it in a sentence. And I know I've got an app on my phone called Te Aka, which is the Māori dictionary app. It does cost, but it's such a wonderful wee resource, and it looks like this. Oh, you can't see it because
it's a little bird.
Yeah, it's the little bird.
It's a little bird, and how much does it cost?
Yeah, I think I paid about $7 or $8 for it. Yeah,
but there is a free version that you can use online too, right? Yeah, there's a free version that you
Māori dictionary. Yeah,
Māori dictionary.
And when I was doing my Te Reo Māori, learning Te Reo Māori online, my kaiako showed us as a website called kupu.maori.co.nz, and you can sign up and get kupu o te rā, which is an awesome resource because you can sign up, learn. They send you a word every day. They'll send you a kupu every day. You can get that in your head. It gives a few examples of sentences, but even the website itself is a great resource because it is a slightly deeper dive into sentence structure and possession, which we're not going to go on today because that's way too technical. But so kupu.maori.co.nz. Kei roto I te whare. So if you I've got the book when the books used to be printed out.
Yeah, they're awesome little books.
Yeah, and I remember my favorite. The first sentence I learned from this book was "Mō muri a mama ka hoki mai," because one of my daughters used to get quite sad when I left her at daycare. So that's what I learned to say to her, to give her that little bit of comfort, and also bring our culture into it as well.
That's so nice.
Yeah. Is there a resource of popular kōhanga songs with lyrics? Do you know if there are any printables or downloadable sheets for labeling things around the house? Do you have websites or stores for their Te Reo Māori games for toddlers, e.g. snap games? So what we'll do, just in terms of that question, I'm wondering if it might be a little bit more efficient if we we'll put through links, we'll reply to that comment with the links to the resources that you're after. But do you have any whakaaro around that pātai at this stage?
Around access of resources?
Yeah, just resources of popular kōhanga songs, downloadables in terms of labeling things around the whare, just getting the bilingual translations for, oven, jug, kettle, plates, that sort of stuff. Have you got any other whakaaro around that? Otherwise, I'll just have our team link to some downloadables for that.
I would definitely just link some downloadables, because I have them in fridge, or had them in fridge magnets, so you can get them. But if we can link it in because I can't off the top of my head think of any where you can just download them. But
yeah, we'll send some links through to you, Ihua. And this is a really important question. How do I get my partner more involved? I'm big on using Te Reo Māori, but my partner is not. Kia ha'o whakaaro mō tēnei kaupapa.
Well, you see, this one's really close to my heart, because I think, we are a multicultural home, my whare. So that's how the karakia cards came to be. So we have the Pukenga psychology cards, which have the Māori, like karakia, and then they have the English translation on the back. And I think for my whānau members who don't wakapapa Māori, it was really key for them to be able to have to develop their own relationship with the reo, because it can be quite intimidating if it's a new thing altogether. So I would say having the conversation is probably the first thing to do, trying to find a level of comfort, and then incorporating some practical ways to make it doable for those that might not who might not be naturally inclined towards it. It might need a little bit more of a tautoko, some awhi around it, because it's huge, it's massive, it's not a small thing. So yeah.
Absolutely. I think, when we think about encouraging Te Reo Māori in the home with our tamariki, they're not necessarily asking to learn, but we are happy to teach them, and they simply click on. So, another really good thing is, if there isn't, that same wavelength between two adults, the adult that is keen to use Te Reo Māori in the home, continue to do it, because then the other adult, by default, just like our tamariki, gets automatically assimilated into learning those phrases and learning those kupu. So you're learning together, but the other person who's not too enthusiastic to learn, like mentally learn, will then just learn without learning, because it's being said to them. So, just normalizing that culture of saying the words, asking the questions in the home, and by default, the other person will learn anyway. So sometimes it's not about agreeing together to learn it. It's just about the other person just happens to click onto it because you're speaking. So that's another way to look at it as well.
Yeah.
Are pukapuka like Māori at home worth it? By that I mean, is it easily incorporated into day-to-day life, and what do you recommend? Kia ha'o whakaaro.
I think, just as we were kind of touching on there, it's easily incorporated if we're invested in incorporating it into our daily lives. We're actively thinking about it if it's not a normal thing for us. Until it becomes a normal part of our daily practice, then it is something that we have to think about incorporating. I think if we're going to arm ourselves with these resources, and we're going to spend our putia on these things, then we might as well be using them daily. And so, I think that would be my recommendation about how you would incorporate it, is if you're going to take the time, and I think you should, because it's cool. It's cool to do it. And it's so beneficial to our young ones, to our littlies, to be able to access language, Māori language. So yeah, just if you have it, use it and use it often, so that it becomes a normal part of your daily routine.
Absolutely. And the cool thing with pukapuka, like Māori at home, they give you the ngā kupu Māori, they give you the Te Reo Māori translation to the English, and then just learning that sentence and using that in your day-to-day life, and then memorizing it, and then moving on to another sentence is actually really valuable as well. Another really nice thing about, if we think about Māori at home, which I've got right in front of me, is there's some lovely background to the grammar, the pronunciation. So you're not just learning a sentence, you get a little bit of insights as to how the sentence is structured as well. So I would recommend, using these as a nice starting point. Māori phrase a day, once again, he me Kelly. Love these resources.
And it's that repetition. When you're doing it often, it just becomes a normal part of your day.
And me haere koutou ki te whare pukapuka, instead of spending the money straight off the bat, just head to the local library to take out those books or reserve those books, and then just see if they're a good fit for your where you're at in your learning journey and your home, and then go from there. Now, Māori language board books. I've actually, yes. So do you have any? I'm gonna talk. Do you have any recommendations? Do you love how I stopped mid sentence and then just because I was like,
but I am used to your awkwardness.
And you're used to those funny faces as well. Do you have any recommendations for Māori language board books with stories rather than just words? My boy is 16 months now and is better with turning pages of board books than the paper ones. But a lot of our Te Reo Māori books are very basic, just words, letters, colours or numbers without a story. But my boy loves a story. I'd love to get him some more books that I can read to him in Te Reo Māori. Now, this is
You're the
a
book
question.
Queen.
Yeah, this is a partai that came up earlier, and I actually answered it before our live. So while I can't recommend the exact names of board books, what I do want to say is, once again, and I said it just before, just heading to your local library, because here in New Plymouth, Pukeariki Library, there's a section of Te Reo Māori books, and we've got big hardcover books for that age and stage of development, as well as translated stories, ngā kararehe o te pamu, the farm animals, kei hia a Spot, translated version of Where's Spot, or Te Mihini I te kōwhai, the little yellow digger. So what I will suggest for you, my friend, is, sorry, I don't have specific books in mind, but if you head to your library, there's a massive amount of resources on offer that you will be able to find to move into that stage of your journey with your little one. And good luck with that. It was such a good question. And one last question that came through before the live started was, can you recommend any specific music or video resources for parents and tamariki? I'd like to be able to sing more waiata or te reo learning songs to my pepe, but it can be hard to find good free resources online. If you have any channels, YouTube playlists or similar you'd recommend, that would be awesome. Karawe, thank you. So I'm sorry, my friend, I'm supposed to be interviewing you, and here I am like,
no. But this is your area of expertise. I'm happy to listen.
Oh, very good. Yes. So I'm the community chick, and then she's the kaiāwhina. She's the health side. So what I do want to say to you, my friend, and thank you for this partai, is one of my favorite places to navigate is the Māori Plus app. So that's the Te Reo channel and the Whakaata Māori app on your phone. So they have a section called Tamariki Ha, and that's full of programs to support whānau and tamariki with their reo Māori and their waiata Māori. My personal favourite is the Takaro tribe. Once again, and you mentioned these resources being free, and once again, I'm gonna mention Fire Sharon's books and that they can be found at a library. So once again, utilize your whare pukapuka, utilize your libraries for those resources as well. Spotify, Te Reo Māori songs for kids. And not going to lie, everyone, I do have a Spotify playlist for my music and dance, and it's called Music and Dance with Plunkett Rose. You can go and have a look at that.
Oh, is it shared? Is it a shared playlist?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, we can.
Yeah, it's a public. It is a public one.
It's a public one.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go check it out.
Yeah, and it's got a photo of me. It's got a photo of me with a purple shirt, so you know that that is from me. And I think we're nearing the end of our live, my friends. And the last patai that I've got on my list is, would Te Reo courses help, and where could I find them?
Te Reo courses, absolutely. Te Reo courses help. I would probably. I mean, I would start probably with Te Wānanga o Aotearoa. That's a great place to start. They have online courses. So like Te Reo, start there. Is that what you started with your reo journey?
Te Reo, yeah. And I know Te Wānanga o Aotearoa, so if you just go into their Te Reo section and look for level 1, 2, just read through, join their mailing list, and as soon as the enrollment's open for that particular level that you feel you're at, they'll send an email to let you know that enrollments are open, and then you can go and explore more from there. Yeah.
And that'll be shy. That's super cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So Te Reo courses would help. I think the thing with Te Reo courses is the amount of information that you get is so much to it. So you can definitely expect to develop your reo, but it's also about going to the course and learning the concepts, learning the reo, but also bringing that back into your whare and practicing it in your everyday life. So the course is one thing, but also just bringing that into everyday life, bringing that into your home, bringing that into your family to keep that strong is the second part of learning through a course. But yeah, they would definitely help. Ka pai hoa, we're almost finished. But before we finish for real, and my karakia whakamutunga, we have a winner of our books that have kindly been donated by Best Start. Do you want to make the announcement, or do you want me to? I think you should make the announcement, because I've been talking all night.
And our winner is Emma Hadley. Emma asked about pronunciation right at the beginning. So Emma, if you give us a DM so that we can organise to get those books out to you, they're coming your way, Ehua. Congratulations.
Absolutely wonderful. All right. So what we will do now is we will karakia whakamutunga. I think that is the end of our live for tonight for Wiki o Te Reo Māori. Thank you so much to everyone who joined us, who laughed at us. Well, at least me. And we hope you learned some, really important information here tonight. And Haley, ka nui te mihi ki a koe. Thank you so much for coming on tonight.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
You're awesome. I rang Haley one afternoon and I said, "Oh, Haley, can you come on with us, please?" And she was like, "Yep." And I was like, "Mean." I didn't know how it was going to go, and this is your first ever live, so we really appreciate you coming on tonight. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. All right, he karakia timatanga. Kua mutu o a mātou mahi mō tēnei wā. Mana kitia mai mātou katoa o mātou whānau ai o ki te rangi. Ka nui te mihi kia koutou katoa. Ka kite anō.
Kia kaha Te Reo Māori.
That's what I was going to say, but I couldn't remember it. We're so connected.
Kia kaha Te Reo Māori.
I'm glad you finished that off for me, because I was like, ka kite anō. What's the rest? Okay, for real now, e whānau mā, thank you so much for your time here tonight, and we wish you all the best. Ka kite.
Ka kite.